Hello and welcome to the final round of the Competition Car Insurance Ford Fiesta Championship Class A, B and D. It's been a really exciting season with lots of battles between the classes. Now over to Richard for the updates on the points.
In Class A, John Langridge already crowned champion, but still plenty of racing to be had for second, third, fourth and the remaining places. Here's confirmation of Langridge's title. Nick Tiley is in second place coming into Brands with David Elsom, his teammate, third. Then it's Ian Scruton, William Torreson and Zena Cooper who comes back to racing this weekend in sixth. In Class B, Scott Baines crowned champion. Ken Bateman and Nick Barton still squabbling over second place. Claire Kemp in fourth from Michelle Edwards and Kevin Stirling in sixth place. Round 15 of the championship. Jimmy Adriaenssens on pole with David Elsom next, then Ed West and Nick Barton row 2, Kevin Stirling and Ken Bateman on row 3. They're followed by James Appleby and Keith Chapman, Nick Tiley back in 9th, then Ian Scruton, Tim Glover and Zena Cooper in 12th position, Vincent von Paemel in 13th, then Richard Beach and Barry Edwards completing the grid in 15th position. Cars on the grid, respective pole positions here. Jimmy Adriaenssens for Class A and Nick Barton for Class B. So Nick Barton lining up in 4th position on the grid in the Z-Tech. But it's the SIs we tend to look to for the overall wins. And the front row of the grid, the Belgian, who celebrated his 23rd birthday yesterday. Teammate of David Nye out in the Belgian Racing Championships. And a cracking start. Away they go, David Elsom in car number 40, getting squeezed down a little bit. Not a great start from Elsom. Ed West in red, looking up the inside. Nick Barton in the mix as well as they go around Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Getting it sideways is Ian Scruton, the yellow and red car. He is off into the gravel, not too far. Now that could be annoying because he might require a safety car period to get that out. But they all come around Druids for the first time. Pretty well behaved. All contact between James Appleby and Zena Cooper. Cooper's going to rejoin at the back of the field and Zena's going to be chasing all the men now in the nicest possible way. Ian Scruton aside because he, I think, has got out of the gravel, which is good news. So Zena Cooper back on circuit and will rejoin to try and chase the pack and make up a few positions from there. 55, Ken Bateman. He is one of the Class B runners, third in the Class B championship. 27, James Appleby in 6th position in Class B in the standings coming into this round, and there's a few issues to be settled over the two races. But out front it's the Belgian in his first go in the Ford Fiesta Championship. Jimmy Adriaenssens started karting back in 1995, raced in the Formula Renault Academy. He's also been racing a Seat Leon, which is I guess how he got into know David Nye, the former champion in the Fiestas, who was invested quite a lot of money in these Seats when they were on the touring car package. And good to see Jimmy over here, and the youngster certainly putting in a good performance out front from David Elsom. 3rd position in red, it's Ed West, good to see him back in the championship. And then it's the scrap for Class B honours between Nick Barton, I beg your pardon, Kevin Stirling and Ken Bateman, 2nd position in class. So leaders through Clearways again. There is Ken Bateman chasing Nick Barton, and just looking at my grid sheet, it looks like Kevin Stirling has dropped back a wee bit, so Kevin not had the best of starts. This is now the scrap for lead in Class B into Paddock Hill Bend, and Nick Barton hanging on to that at the moment. So Barton, that is also the battle for 2nd position in the Class B Championship. Scott Baines having won it, he's not here this weekend. Nick Barton on 173 points, Ken Bateman on 154. So Ken's got a little bit of work to do to chop that down. 16 points for a win, 1 point for pole position, another one for fastest lap. And the pole position, of course, going to Nick Barton. So he gets 1 point in the bank after qualifying, which is good. Meanwhile, we go back to race leader. Adriaenssens still there, David Elsom in 2nd position. This is looking good for Elsom's 2nd place in the championship, and at the moment he's going to extend that 1 point lead that he has over his teammate Nick Tiley. Keep your eyes open for Nick. He's in the predominantly yellow Class A Fiesta, and we'll probably see him maybe back in shot in a minute as this battle goes on between Bateman and Barton. the two Bs, very much hard at it. Up towards Druids they go. James Appleby putting a move on in the background there. James Appleby looking around the outside of Keith Chapman. So those two having a good scrap, but the leaders in class coming down towards Graham Hill Bend. Still Adriaenssens, West and Elsom out front, leading Class A. It's a class champion, of course. Made his debut, John Langridge made his debut in Class C for the SIs. The Class D car is here this weekend as well. And that was driven, of course, by Pete Daniels at the last round that we saw. And expecting to see a few of those immaculate looking cars, the brand new Fiesta, on the grid next season. But plenty of racing still to be had from the Zetec's and the SIs as we go back to the lead. In fact, now we've got David Elsom in lead position. So David Elsom, the man from 40-year-old from Cambridge, takes the lead from the Belgian driver. Ed West down in third position still and trying to get on terms with him. The young Belgian is trying to fight back. Great stuff from David Elsom. Let's have a look at lap times. Elsom lapping in the 57s. In fact, both the lead drivers are. So Elsom pretty much evenly matched with Jimmy Adriaenssens. Adriaenssens looks at the inside line as they go up towards Surtees. They turn into Surtees now, then it's through McLaren and Clearways, and Adriaenssens I think starting to try and line himself up. Let's just watch the pose of the two cars. Adriaenssens' car, you can see maybe carrying a little bit more speed, lifting that inside rear wheel, and he's lining up for a pass. He was looking at the inside line, but David Elsom comes across, grabs the line, hugging the pit wall at the moment. He's going to make Jimmy go round the outside, I think, if anything. Now comes out slightly wider for Paddock Hill Bend. Turns in, and Adriaenssens found a gap. Jimmy Adriaenssens through, back into the lead, found a gap on the way into Paddock Hill Bend. Elsom wanted the racing line, but the young Belgian goes through, hard on the brakes, into Druids. Got to be careful around here. Remember, Zena got caught out with a little bit of contact on lap one. It's very rare that you don't see contact at Druids a hairpin on the first lap of any race, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been in this race, I've got to say. So David Elsom down into second position, but very much involved in a race with the young Belgian driver. Ed West behind him. Good to see Ed racing with us again and enjoying racing here at Brands. He was out here earlier on in the season, and the meeting took place in June, very much at home here, and running well as off go two cars. Zena Cooper is off, and also I think Vincent van Paemel has gone off, so Zena not having the happiest of races and will rejoin. Here's the battle for Class B though, and still hanging on to it at the moment is Nick Barton. So Nick Barton still in front from Ken Bateman, and then we go back James Appleby in 27, 53 is touched, and they're both sideways big time. Keith Chapman reads that well. The 53 car of Kevin Stirling was dicing with James Appleby for third place in Class B, and now Keith Chapman gets himself. Tell you what, Appleby held on to that pretty well. Stirling I don't think was so lucky, and he drops back. Stirling had qualified second in class, drops way down the order now into Graham Hill Bend. A little bit of a run off there. A lot of times we continually talk on other formulas about how the drivers abuse the runoff there and go far too far over, and I've got to say none of these drivers have, and great stuff from the competition car insurance Ford Fiesta Championship drivers. Here's the Yorkshire Bankback driver, 27, James Appleby, still third in class, leading Keith Chapman onto the Brabham Straight to reel off another lap. The penultimate race of the 2011 season for the Competition Car Insurance Championship. Back markers looming. It's Scruton and David Elsom then still. In fact, David Elsom back in front. So David Elsom has repassed Jimmy Adriaenssens and gone back in front. So, well, hats off to Elsom. He's not giving up the ghost, is he? And what we don't know is, because we didn't see it, whether it was a mistake or not from Adriaenssens that dropped him down. But David Elsom back out front. Adriaenssens lining him up on the inside. Just a little tap there. That was a classic bit of touring car racing there. Just the lightest, I think, of touches. And that puts Elsom a little bit wide. And Adriaenssens, you can see, I guess, probably the more experienced driver. A lot younger for sure. But he's been doing a lot of race in Belgium, and sometimes a little nudge is all you need, or a little lean on the car in front is all you need to get them to go wide. If it's half a gap there, they're still side by side. Elsom here is proving to be a gritty racer outside line, but at the end the Belgian gets the job done as he goes into paddock, squeezes through, coming up to lap Ian Scruton in 54, the man who went off at the paddock on lap 1. He goes wide, around Druids and lets them through. Very good driving from Scruton. Doesn't want to interfere with the 3 guys in Class A battle. This is actually the closest battle we've seen all year for the lead in Class B, and now Ed West is getting on the case as well. So West fancies having a go for second position. Elsom, of course, is probably comfortable in the knowledge that he's well ahead of of Nick Tiley, his teammate, so he's going to be pulling points. Still needs to finish both races, of course, to take second position in the championship, and he'll be keeping an eye on his mirrors for Ed West. They come along the straight. Wonderful blue skies here at Brands Hatch. A magnificent place to watch racing in wet or dry weather, but it's such a fantastic day out when the sun's shining like it is today. So many places to watch. You can see a great deal of the circuit from wherever you are. And Elsom carries on second place. Still the Belgian Adriaenssens, his debut of this championship. Be good to see how he would fare in a Class C machine.
With so much racing going on in the world, you'd have to be a four-headed monster to keep up with it all. Luckily, we have that. Join Peter Keane, Bill Wood, Errol Tucker, and their guest driver analyst each week for an opinionated look at the news coming out of the racing world. Remember, it's GoRacingTV.com for all your racing and video needs.
Through they come, down through paddock again. Barton, who took a couple of wins here, if memory serves correctly, at Brands Hatch over the champion, Scott Baines. Scott Baines retiring from the championship with 222 points. His teammate Claire Kemp not here either. She's currently 4th in the championship. So Kevin Stirling, with 2 good finishes, may well overtake Claire Kemp in the standings. And James Appleby, if he could rack up enough points as well, might get close to Claire's total as well. Barton with a little bit of a wiggle there. Parked up on the inside is Richard Beach, who has beached the car on the inside, so he's out of the race. Disappointment for Richard, and I think the car relatively safe and won't be moved. I think the likelihood of a safety car is pretty small. Now normally the officials will say, well, it's unlikely that another car will end up there, but of course, having said that, that car's ended up there, so there's always an argument both ways. As we go back to our lead in Class B, still Nick Barton leading, Ken Bateman in second position. Back behind them we've got James Appleby, Keith Chapman thrashing it out for that podium position still. Down behind them Tim Glover in 5th position in Class B. Then Barry Edwards is Class B, and Kevin Stirling had that spin earlier on, or half spin, as they went down through paddock. So 20-minute race, and well into the second half of that. Ian Scruton is going to be the driver that they are going to lap before too long, these guys. The race leaders have already gone through. There's Zena Cooper going through in the BizLink 75 car. So Zena's still going around and running well in Class A at the moment. Apart from that, off at the first corner. She's going to be absolutely gutted about that. She's had a bit of a lonely race aside from that, trying to recover from that moment. And still Adriaenssens leading from David Elsom. Ed West in second position. Up towards Druids they go, around Druids. And first 3, after a couple of place changes early on, looking pretty settled now. The young Belgian driver showing these guys the way round, and this meeting part of the Formula Ford Festival here at Brands Hatch. Everything this weekend has a Ford engine in it, and when the numbers started to drop off in Formula Ford, I think the organisers realised, wouldn't it be a good idea to have the Ford Fiesta Championship as part of this mega international meeting? As Elsom comes up, is he going to return the favour of a little tap here and go up the inside of Adriaenssens? This is what Adriaenssens did earlier on, and Elsom is having a good fight. I thought this was settled, but David Elsom's having none of it and tries to squeeze down the inside as they come down the Brabham straight side by side. Adriaenssens has got a bit more momentum coming into paddock and maintains the lead, but he had a bit of a wake up there from the 40-year-old from Cambridge. David Elsom really proving that he is up to challenging the young upstarts here. Zena Cooper's car looms ahead. Up into Druids they go again. Wide line from Elsom. Ed West might use that as an opportunity to join the party here. So the top 3 involved in a very close squabble coming up on their Class A team. Oh, and Elsom throws it away. Elsom throws it away down into Graham Hill Bend. Tell you what, Ed West was lucky he wasn't too close there, because he managed to go off in avoidance and up into second position. David Elsom down to 3rd. He's going to be kicking himself. On the previous lap he was challenging that dot in the distance for the race lead, and now he's down in 3rd position. through Clearways and chasing Ed West, who's up to second position. So David Elsom, he's going to have to do an awful lot of work to close that gap up. That's a big gap now, and just one error. It just goes to show you how hard these guys are concentrating in the cars, and it looks so easy when you've got three of them circulating so closely and trying to match each other move for move, and then when it all goes wrong, you suddenly realise just what a very thin line it is to cross to lose a position. Zena Cooper there in the 75 car. David passed Zena, so Zena now is a lap down on the lead three in Class B. Elsom crushed, look at that, he's very frustrated now, and that's twice that he's got that corner wrong. It'd be interesting to stay on board with him on the next lap. If he carries on doing that wide thing, he'll get the flag as well from the officials, because they don't like their grass messed up here at Brands Hatch, because it's an immaculately presented venue. As we go back to James Appleby and Keith Chapman, still squabbling over third place. Appleby with the upper hand at the moment, and looks like he might be on for a podium here, because he's got 2 or 3 lengths from Chapman, who gets both sets of wheels across the stripes. So of course the drivers get a little bit more fatigued as the race go on, and you know, you are going to go across those lines every once in a while, so I'm sure we're going to forgive him that, as Keith Chapman again fighting hard but not really gaining on James Appleby. Let's have a look at the respective times in the Z-Tex. James Appleby 59.5, Keith Chapman 59.6, their best lap time, so pretty evenly matched as we've seen, and Keith Chapman trying to do all he can to close them down. As we go back to the class lead, Nicholas Barton still there in 88 from Ken Bateman in second position. These two have pretty much been glued together the whole race. This is one of the closest battles on the circuit between the pair of them. Barton still hangs on to it, as you can see there, just maybe a length and a half, following each other wheel for wheel at the moment. Ian Scruton, the back marker, back behind them. So Barton, 4th position overall in the race, and a Class B race win in the offing here. Ken Bateman still in that second position. They'll reel off another lap. As we go back to the race leader, car number 7, Jimmy Adriaenssens, extending his lead over Ed West at the moment. It's almost out to a couple of seconds. Back markers looming for Jimmy. Yellow machine of Nicholas Tiley, which is David Elsom's teammate. So Elsom may well even get to lap his teammate here. Bear in mind, Nicholas Tiley's had a very consistent season, running 3rd in the championship coming into this round, 142 points, well clear of Ian Scruton, 4th in the table. And Adriaenssens getting well clear of Ed West at the moment. So here come the back marker cars. First of those going through shot is Vincent from Paemel. He's going to be Vincent currently running in 8th place. So as we get I'm not sure whether Adriaenssens is going to have enough time, because these are timed races rather than a set number of laps. Through goes Barry Edwards, who is already a lap down, and he's followed by Nick Tiley in yellow. So Tiley, I think, is going to be passed maybe before the end of this lap. Let's have a look and see how the Belgian deals with the Cambridgeshire man. Sticks to the outside at Surtees, through he goes. And I beg your pardon, Barry Edwards hasn't been lapped yet. There he is in the number 2 car, so I think Barry is about to be lapped. Getting me lap charts modelled up here. So Barry Edwards is in fact still... Oh yes, no, he has been lapped. So this is going to be the second. That's the second time for Barry. So Barry Edwards 2 laps down, and very much into the closing stages of the race. Jimmy Adriaenssens dealing with traffic as well, as he's dealt with the challenges to him out front. Onto the last lap, through Paddock Hill Bend. David Elsom still in 3rd position, chasing Ed West, but it's going to be the young Belgian on his competition car insurance Ford Fiesta debut who's going to take the win, unless anything silly happens. We haven't seen anything like that so far. Vincent van Paemel is going to be the last driver not to be lapped. I think he's going to hang on. The red and blue car, the blue and red car I should say, because it's predominantly blue, is hanging on ahead of Jimmy Adriaenssens in the number 7 car, who goes down through Graham Hill Bend, along Cooper Straight for the last time. Very conservative on his line, into Surtees for the last time, turns in now, and well, he might actually lap from Paemel. We'll see whether he can maybe get him on the line. But Adriaenssens looking very neat, again lifts that inside wheel, just showing his commitment. Ed West in red is down behind him, but here they come along the Brabham Straight for the last time. And Jimmy Adriaenssens it is that's going to see the checkered flag. We wait for it to pop out. Where is the checker? There it is. Win for Adriaenssens. Second position, Ed West in red, not too far behind. David Elsom in third, followed by his teammate Nick Tiley, who takes fifth in class, albeit a lap down. Vincent van Paemel beating him to fourth position. 53 coming across the line is going to be Kevin Stirling. Here comes the battle for Class B, and Nick Barton gets it all sideways coming out of Clearways, and Ken Bateman goes up the inside. They're side by side to the line, but Barton finally gathers up the car and has a bit more momentum as they come along the Brabham straight. They're still side by side and separated by the smallest of margins. The class win going to Nick Barton. Jimmy Adriaenssens wins first time out. Ed West in second with David Elsom third. Nick Barton taking the Class B honours ahead of Ken Bateman, with James Appleby getting that podium slot. Keith Chapman 7th from Vincent von Paemel. Then Nick Tiley, Tim Glover in 10th. Ian Scruton 11th. And Barry Edwards 12th. The final finisher was Kevin Stirling in 13th place.
So joining me now is Nick Barton, who you actually won your race, didn't you, in your class for the first race of today. But apparently there was a little bit of a tussle going on, and I want to hear a bit more about that from your point of view.
Basically, I got a good start. I managed to stay in front of Ken. Managed to lead him around for a few laps, and he was getting closer and closer, and then kept looking like he was going to go for a move, but he left it till the last lap, and then a bit of the curves, bit of the grass, bit of contact, but I managed to stay in front. It was very, very close up to the line. Luckily, I stayed in front and won it, so very happy.
So what about this afternoon then? I mean, what are you going to be hoping to do? Obviously, you want to win again, but where will it leave you finishing up if you did?
Well, it'd be nice to win it, but as long as I finish the race, then I will be second in the championship, so I've got to play it steady.
So you'd be happy with that?
Yeah, I want to win it again, just impress the sponsors, so we'll see what we can do.
So joining me is Ken Bateman, who came second in Class B. Were you happy with that, Ken? Tell us a bit more about the race.
Had a really good race with Nick Barton the whole race. Nick was leading Class B, and I think the most I was behind him was 2 car lengths. Most of the time I was 2 inches from his back bumper. Last corner, made a move, got inside him at Clearways, so I was leading the race for a brief period, but he just out-dragged me to the line, and I think the difference it says on the line was 4 100ths of a second. So a really good race. So it was a great race, but not the result I would have liked.
So what about this afternoon? How are you feeling about that?
That's definitely going to be a win, of course. Yeah, I'm going to make my move a bit earlier and make it stick. I was conscious of not wanting to make a move too early because of championship points. I was waiting for the last lap ball to come out and then made my move. I think this afternoon will be a bit more racy even still.
Okay, well, wishing you the best of luck. James Appleby joining me now, who came third in the Class B race earlier on. Hi James, how are you feeling after that? You happy?
Yeah, very, very excited. It was a fantastic race. Terrible start, kind of lost about 6 places at the start. Managed to get in the back of after the first lap. So yeah, and then just raced it all the way to the very end. Very good fun.
So what about this afternoon then? What are you going to be hoping for?
Well, after finishing third, the obvious kind of progression is to look at a second or first. They weren't a million miles away from me, and I was catching them towards the end. Starting in a good position, so fingers crossed. I'm hoping for first or second. Be nice.
Well, good luck. Good luck with that.
State your desires.
Speed, adrenaline, competition.
Calculating. Result in 3, 2, 1. The National Auto Sports Association. Start here.
So Jimmy Adriaenssens, am I saying that right?
Yes, indeed. That's right. That's right. That's my name.
Congratulations on getting first. Now, I understand it's actually your first time here as well.
Yeah, indeed. My first time here in Brands, and also my first time in a right-hand driven car. So it was completely new to me, but I was invited by Pete Daniels Motorsport and David William Knight to come over because, yeah, it's a great championship. And so, yeah, I took their advice and I'm here now.
So did you have much practice on the other side of the car?
No, I arrived here Friday night, then I stayed over, and in the morning, Saturday morning, I had my first free practice. It was totally new to me. Also, I'm used to driving cars with power steering. Now I'm driving without. on the right side, so it was getting used to. But eventually, after lots and lots of advice from David, I got it right in the qualifyings and I took pole, so I'm very pleased.
Yeah, so he did exactly the right thing by telling you what to do then. That's like good advice from him. So what about now then, after today? You go back to Belgium, have you got more races? What's next for you?
After this race, my last race of the Belgian Touring Car Championship, Belgian Touring Car Series actually, I will be driving my Seat Supercoppa. I'm sharing a car with David William Nye, and in Belgium we were standing first in the championship of the Supercoppas, but last race we had some mechanical failures, and eventually we dropped back one place, and now we're second, and we're going to make everything, and we're going to do our best, so we can win. Let's hope so.
And so this afternoon you have another race. What will you be hoping to do? Same again?
Of course, I'm going. Of course, I want to win again. Winning's great. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to see that I'm getting off the line pretty quick. Make sure I'm first at the first corner, and then trying to control the race. Being gentle on my tires, on my brakes, so I wouldn't make any mistakes to go faster, and then. Let's hope for the best. I win again.
Yeah. Well, good luck, Jimmy. Thank you very much for spending some time with us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Adriaenssens on pole with Ed West alongside, then David Elsom and Nick Barton on row 2. Row 3, Ken Bateman and James Appleby. Fourth row, Keith Chapman and Vincent from Paemel. Then it's Nick Tiley and Tim Glover. Ian Scruton 11th. Barry Edwards lines up on the outside of row 6. Then on row 7, Kevin Stirling and Zena Cooper. Richard Beach completes the grid in 15th place. "15 cars on the grid for classes A, B. It is open to Class D as well, and I'm sure we're going to see entries in Class D next year. The car, of course, as we mentioned in race 1, having had its debut last time out. But everybody in position and ready for their last race of the season here. A great meeting to come to, the Formula Ford Festival, and a lovely way to finish the championship for the year. Elsom gets away well in white, but so too does Adriaenssens on the outside. Ed West as well, looking around the outside line in 88. He's got the difficult job to go around the outside of Paddock. Looks like a good clean start from everybody. Yep, all the way well, right the way down to Richard Beach at the back of the field after his retirement in race 1. Zena Cooper retired in race 1 as well. So just the 2 retirees in that one. This is the nerve-wracking moment as they come up to Druids for the first time. And as I said, normally you'll wind up with a couple of cars in the gravel. It doesn't seem to be the case today. Excellent driving standards on the opening lap from the guys and girl here in the Fiestas. So superb stuff from them. Ian Scruton's a little bit higher up and looks down the inside of Nicholas Tiley. That's a battle on the pass there for positioning class. The red and yellow car passing the yellow machine. But out front, the 23-year-old Belgian on his way perhaps to another win. He didn't really have it all his own way in race 1. Had a lot of pressure from David Elsom. Ed West not too far away at the flag. There's Kevin Stirling chasing Tim Glover. Tim Glover in the red car. Stirling looks up the inside. Can't make that one stick. But Adriaenssens from West Elsom. Then the Class B battle between Nick Barton and Ken Bateman. Once again, those two picking up where they left off in race 1 for sure. And then down behind them, it looks like Keith Chapman has got ahead of James Appleby. So Chapman up into a podium position for Class A. Chapman going through red car, just back of shot, with James Appleby in the white machine with the blue stripes on the roof, challenging for the podium. It was Appleby that got the podium in the first race. So James will be trying to get that in this one. Back with Adriaenssens still getting away. Look at the pose that car strikes. It seems to be a little bit smoother as they go through Clearways. And at the moment the Class B cars putting up a pretty good fight. Remember, we saw the Class B champion Scott Baines on many occasions worrying the Class A cars, particularly on wet meetings and some of the slower circuits. And David Elsom looks like he's going to find himself under a bit of pressure here from some of the Class B boys once again. Nick Barton's still there in 4th position. So at the moment we've got Class A, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and then Class B, 4th, 5th, I think 5th, 6th and 7th as well. A little bit of a wide moment from Ed West, kicks up the dirt as they come out of Druids, and he's got no pressure on him at all at the moment because David Elsom doesn't seem to be able to take the fight to him at the moment. Keep your eyes on that run off there at Graham Hill. That and Paddock Hill bend are the main areas where people tend to get it a little bit wrong. There's a little bit more gravel at paddock these days, so you tend not to get too many people going wide in case they wind up in the gravel. But this Belgium, as far as I know, the first visit for the youngster to Brands Hatch, and he's really learned it quickly. So a pole position for him in qualifying, a race win in race 1, and he's certainly in the best place to repeat that here in race 2. So top 5 pretty much together. 3 Class A cars. Here are the 2 leading Class Bs. Barton and Bateman still together. The 2 Bs in Class B racing pretty closely. Barton's got a little bit of an edge at the moment. It was Bateman that had the fastest lap in race 1. So he knows that on a perfect lap that he's got the edge over Nick Barton, and that really does set us up for quite a thrilling race. Still in the back of shot, you can see up in 3rd place Keith Chapman. So Chapman on for a podium here to reverse the result that he had over James Appleby. Bateman, I thought, was going to make a move. Back to the race leader. Adriaenssens getting away still from Ed West. David Elsom still in 3rd place. Elsom's going to be confirmed as 2nd position in the championship after this race. 143 points, as we mentioned, coming into the meeting. Took a 3rd position in the first race of the day, which gives him another 13 points. So Nick Tiley is going to have to come through, I think, for a class win to be able to take that 2nd position in the championship away from him, and I can't see that happening in all reality. Through go the top 3 again. This is the squabble for Class B, and you can see Appleby and Chapman getting close again behind, and it really is a little bit of a job to know where to look, because you've got this scrap for the leading Class B, and we've got another scrap behind them for 3rd place. Appleby getting away, and then if we look down the order, we've got Nick Tiley and Vincent from Paemel pretty much hard at it. Ian Scruton in the mix as well. So a good mid-order battle going on between the Class A's as well. That's for 4th position in Class A. Certainly going to be no problems, I don't think, with the podium. Ken Bateman, 55 then, still putting the pressure on. 2nd position in race 1, fastest lap, and he's trying all he can to deal with Nick Barton. You can see the 3 leading Class A cars starting to get a little bit of space between them as we go down the order and pick up the 53 car of Kevin Stirling in the mix there with Tim Glover in 99. Tim Glover running in Class B, as is Kevin Stirling, so dice for class position between those 2. And here's this scrap for 3rd that we were talking about. James Appleby in 27 chasing Keith Chapman. Chapman it was that spent all the time following in race number 1, and at the moment he's well, there's no let up for him. We saw him working hard, didn't we, from his onboards, and there's no let up for him because he's being hounded now rather than being the hunter, as it were, and this time coming under a little bit of pressure. Appleby just gesticulates something there in the car, not quite sure what all that was about. So through Surtees they go again. Chapman running 6 on the road overall, but of course what they're really worried about is the class position, and at the moment he holds the podium place. Coming out of Clark Curve onto the Brabham Straight once again. Brands Hatch circuit, just under 1.2 miles for these cars to navigate each time, and the 20-minute race resulted in 21 laps first time out, with very pleased to say no start line incidents this year. Very good clean racing, and as I mentioned, all handled the start and Druids very well. As looking up the inside is Appleby having a look at it. Driving standards been absolutely premium this weekend. So down Graham Hill Bend again. Appleby trying to work out if he can go past them. Chapman went a little bit wide into Graham Hill Bend there, and he doesn't carry too much speed on the exit, doesn't run over the curbs, and Appleby does look a little bit sharper at the moment. So Appleby looking the sharper of the 2 as we go back to 55. Ken Bateman 2nd in class, still trying to hunt down the man in front of him, Nick Barton, who can probably crown himself champion of Brands as far as the Z-Tech's concerned after that splendid outing he had in June. So he's running well as we go back to the podium battle, completing another lap. Down the straight they go. Look how they're all beginning to get spaced out. 1st and 2nd in the Bs, huge gap back to 3rd and 4th in the Bs, and then even bigger gap back to 5th and 6th, which is Tim Glover and Kevin Stirling at the moment, and I suspect we'll probably catch up with those as well. Richard Beach still running in Class A as well. So this fantastic entry-level motorsport, and there'll be a decent crowd here at Brands watching the festival, who may well be thinking about coming in and racing in this championship next year. It's a pretty good geographic spread of rounds. Started off this year at Silverstone, then moved to Snetterton, Donington. We were here at Brands in June, then a round at Rockingham, Snetterton again for rounds 11 and 12. The last round you might have caught from Linden Hill in Kent. That wonderful little circuit down there near Dover, and back here at Brands Hatch for the 8th meeting of the season. Double header at each round. Qualifying on the Saturday normally, along with testing, and then the 2 races on the Sunday. And this is very much cost-effective racing. I was talking to some of the guys earlier in the year in the paddock about costs, and they were saying, you know, no motor racing's cheap, but this is superb value for money, the guys were saying. And particularly you look at Class A and B, it's a real good way of getting into a top-line championship. And there's always someone to race against. And the great thing with the A's and B's together is that you can be a slower racer in Class A and maybe find yourself dicing with the faster guys in Class B, and that's what we're looking at the moment. The 2 Class B fast guys here. Nick Barton, who's on for another class win, potentially here in car number 88. Still not losing sight of David Elsom, is he? So Elsom in 3rd position in the race. There he is in white, just going out of shot.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at GoRacingTV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
Well, let's hope that we see the Twin Cam Racing boys, Elsom and Tiley, back together, maybe going for 1st and 2nd in the championship next year. They've certainly done well since coming in. Used to do some track days and decided to come racing. So along Cooper Straight again, battle for 2nd position, still very much on between these two. It's almost a game of chess, isn't it, between these two, waiting to see who's going to make a slip. And at the moment, Ed West looks like he's got the upper hand. Let's check the distance between the two as they come through Clearways. Again, you can see David Elsom closes up, but he just can't do anything about West at the moment. This is the view from the office of the 3rd place man, past the pit wall. Get a really good feeling of the speed here. These cars don't hang about. Average lap times around here, just under the minute, 75 miles an hour average. So when you include the slower corners here, that's a pretty mega lap. And Elsom's on a mega lap now, looks to the outside line, comes up towards Druids, tight line in. Ed West got it covered, through Druids they go, now down out of Druids, down Graham Hill, into Graham Hill bend. Turns in, grabs the apex, and 2nd position still fairly settled as we go back. There's Nick Tiley, being put under a bit of pressure by Ian Scruton, I think. Scruton beginning to close in on him. Tiley 4th in Class A. Adriaenssens, just to recap the positions, Jimmy Adriaenssens leads from Ed West and David Elsom in Class A. Then we've got a quartet of Class B cars, and then this battle between the 4th and 5th place cars in Class A, the Fiesta Sis, led by Nick Tiley, and then Ian Scruton. And down behind them should be Vincent von Paemel. There's Richard Beach in car number 22, about to be lapped by these two guys. Richard having a happier race in this one, finished up on the grass on the inside of Cooper Straight, actually the outside of Cooper Straight, isn't it really, I suppose you should say, on that previous race. And he's about to be lapped, I think, by Nick Tiley. So Nick on his way to 4th position at the moment in class, which is pretty good. Here comes Beach down the straight, down behind them Vincent von Paemel, joined us at Linden Circuit last time, not too far away from Scruton. This is the part of the circuit where we saw Ian disappear off. Oh, he's made another error down into paddock. Well, that paddock hill certainly seems to be Scruton's Achilles heel, and the yellow and red 54 car gets back on circuit but loses a place to Vincent von Paemel, and Nick Tiley is now 4th. Von Paemel up into 5th in class, Ian Scruton down to 6th. I thought he was closing in on Nick Tiley, and he was certainly charging, because that's exactly what happens when you overdo it. Back to the battle for 2nd position meanwhile, and Ed West still there from David Elsom, who's going to wrap up 2nd position in the championship. Nick Tiley will be 3rd. Ian Scruton still picking up pretty useful points, and will be 4th in the championship. And off goes Tim Glover. So waved yellows, Tim Glover's off the circuit, and that's on the exit of Druids. I think the car probably out of harm's way. So Tim Glover, who was dicing for Class B, let me see, 5th position in Class B with Kevin Stirling. Kevin Stirling's going to go 5th now in class, ahead of Barry Edwards. And I don't think that Tim Glover's going to get going again from there. So the race leader comes through with a huge lead. He's now lapped Barry Edwards. That's Barry Edwards in the white car that's just been lapped going through. He's down in 12th place at the moment, Barry, and finds himself a lap down. The general pace, I think, seems to be up to a little bit. Some of the newcomers lapping a lot quicker in this second race, and we're not going to see as many drivers lapped in this one. And Adriaenssens well on his way. See the waved yellows, meaning no passing there as the marshals deal with Tim Glover's car. Zena Cooper, incidentally, is out of the race as well, retired after 7 laps. So Zena's not had the happiest of meetings at all. Kevin Stirling now having a dice with Ian Scruton. This is for 10th position, both in different classes, and Stirling, he's got a little bit more circuit racing experience than Scruton, looking down the inside, but the extra power of the SI seems to pay as we come along the straight. Ian's going to be mindful of what happened at Paddock last time out, and indeed in race 1. Look back, here's the race leader then coming across the line and into Paddock. Jimmy Adriaenssens leading. The white car is Barry Edwards, who is a lap down, then followed by Ed West in red, then David Elsom in red and white running in 3rd position, and David Elsom keeping Ed West pretty much honest at the moment, but the race leader showing good racecraft again and pulling away. He's got a 5-second lead at this stage of the race over Ed West, so very, very comfortable. West on the inside of Barry Edwards, and David Elsom just getting a little bit left behind there, and I think Elsom might be kicking himself about that. He's lost a little bit of ground. Blue flags for Edwards, he pulls wide, Elsom's through, and at the end of the day hasn't lost too much ground on the 2nd place driver. But Jimmy Adriaenssens in car 7 is still there and leading this one. A big lead for him, and the Belgian, he saw, and thus far is conquering as he takes the last lap board. Just under 1.2 miles to go for the 23-year-old. Only turned 23 on Friday, so that was his qualifying day. And, well, what a mega weekend for him to come to Brands Hatch, the Circuit of Champions, as it used to be known. I still very much like to know that. It's a wonderful place to go. If you tell people you're going to Brands Hatch, everybody knows what you're going for and where you're going, which isn't the case for a lot of circuits, we could say, in the UK. But Adriaenssens, it's been a superb one for him. He's got fastest lap again, pole position yesterday, race win in race 1 and fastest lap, and he's repeated that in race 2 from pole position here. Fastest lap of 57.556. That's better than the time he said in race 1. So it's all been about improvement for him. That's exactly what a young driver needs to do, and he'll go back to Belgium with 2 race wins and confidence boosted and reputation boosted as well, as he comes off Clark Curve for the last time here at Brands Hatch in the usual doubleheader. Adriaenssens makes it a double. There is the checkered flag. Ed West still in 2nd position, 5 seconds down. David Elsom closing up on him to the flag, but I don't think could do anything about it. And Ed West takes 2nd position. David Elsom 2nd in the championship with 3rd place in the race. There's Barry Edwards, who finishes a lap down in 12th position. Next across the line is Nick Barton. He's actually well clear of Ken Bateman, and look at the squabble going on here. James Appleby still looking for 3rd place. Chapman's held it race long, but Appleby's got him on the last corner. Appleby through on the inside line, takes the podium, or does he? They're side by side. Appleby just takes it by a gnat's whisker. That is absolutely superb from Appleby. He sat in 4th position race long and grabbed 3rd position on the line. Kevin Stirling still having his race as well with Ian Scruton. Breaks on from Stirling as he comes off Clark Curve, and it looks like Scruton's going to take 10th position. Remember, that was between 2 separate class cars, so Scruton comes home in 10th from Kevin Stirling. Barry Edwards down behind them. Race win to Jimmy Adriaenssens from Ed West, David Elsom. Nick Barton winning Class B from Ken Bateman, and James Appleby makes it a double podium on the last corner in 6th place. 7th position to no doubt disappointed Keith Chapman from Nick Tiley. Vincent von Paemel in 9th from Ian Scruton, then Kevin Stirling and Barry Edwards in 12th place. 13th, and a classified finish for Richard Beach. Championship standings look like this. John Langridge the champion. Elsom confirmed 2nd from Nick Tiley, with Ian Scruton 4th from Ed West and William Torreson in 6th. In Class B, Scott Bain's the champion. Nick Barton annexed second position from Ken Bateman, with James Appleby fourth, Kevin Stirling in fifth position and Claire Kemp down in sixth.
Okay, so Nick, congratulations, another first. 2 in one day. How do you feel about that?
Very, very happy. It's a good way to end the season, impress the sponsors and hopefully sort us out for next season.
So you've got second overall for the championship this year, and that was the best you could have got today, so you must be absolutely over the moon with that.
Yeah, unfortunately we had a string of bad luck earlier in the year, but I've done as best as I can, and second is still a pretty good result, so yeah, very happy.
Yeah, very good result with me once again. Exactly the same position as the last race.
Absolutely, the same result. Wasn't quite as close to Nick at the end. We had a good race for about 15 laps, nip and tuck. Managed to get alongside him a couple of times. Unfortunately, with about 5 laps to go, made a mistake going into paddock and dropped back about 2 or 3 seconds, and after that the gap was probably a little too much to close. But you know, a good end of season, I fancy.
So James, you're back again, joining me again, having come third again, so well done. Are you happy with that? Nice way to finish?
I am, yeah. It's a great way to have 2 podiums at the end of the season. It's just a shame I got caught behind Chapman after the first corner of the first lap. Spent the rest of the race following him, decided to make it interesting. Final lunge in the final corner, crossed the line side by side, I can imagine. So, but glad to pick up the 3rd place.
So Ed, you just came second again in 2 in one day. Not bad at all.
Yeah, it was a pretty tricky race. I tried to keep up with Jimmy as long as I could, but still a few problems with the car, so it was struggling on the straights a bit. We got tangled up a little bit with the back markers, and actually came together with one of them into Paddock Hill, so that enabled Dave to catch right up again. So it was an interesting 5 laps at the end, just trying to keep him behind me.
Yeah, but it's pretty exciting. I mean, that's what kind of makes it so much more of an amazing achievement when you can go and walk away going, yeah, second, happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. If it was just driving around on my own for the whole time, it'd be no fun. But no, it's good race, good fun.
Well done. It was great to have you back. We did say, didn't we? Hopefully we'll see you later. And we did. So well done indeed.
Good.
Take care.
Cheers. Thank you.
So David, back again with me. We were hoping this was going to happen, weren't we?
Yeah.
So third again.
Third again, yeah. A little bit disappointing. I started third and I was hoping for a good start, which I didn't get. Seemed to have had a bit of top end sort of power problems with the car, but it was fine. It was good. I settled into 3rd place and I was catching it. There's a couple of times it got quite exciting, so we got close, and so we all ended up safe at podium positions. So that's sort of secured the championship for me now. You know, the 2nd place position.
Which is brilliant. Congratulations.
Oh, I'm pleased with that, and I've raced very closely with Nick, my teammate. So he's finished 3rd today. So I think we can sort of go home after today. Really, it was a first full season. Really, it's 2nd and 3rd place. Not bad.
So celebrating later?
Yeah, curries on Nick.
Curries?
Yeah, well, it's
celebration with curries.
I think he should pay us for coming 3rd. So that's his penalty.
Well, it's been an exciting day. It's been an exciting season for the Fiesta Championships. We'll see you in December for the season reviews.